All right, welcome everyone. Let's make sure that the stream here kicks in. All right, welcome everyone. I think we're good. Let's make sure that the stream here kicks in. Okay, so new week, new series. We're making a soundboard this week, and I think it'll go on for a couple more weeks after that. The idea of this project is a soundboard is just this window with a bunch of buttons. You click on a button, it plays a sound effect. You can Google them online. They're all over the place. They're fun to play with for a little bit. I think it'll be fun for these live streams to maybe have on the side, and I can play around with it and also build something for Omniverse. So the idea here is that it'll be really simple, and then I can ramp that up in the future sessions that we do by doing a few more advanced ideas for extensions and UI development. So we'll start very basic today, and then we'll see where it takes us. Hey Ivan, hey the commenter maker, and we finally got Kyle on here live, so that's great. All right, so let me pull up here. Some notes. And I think you guys will be happy that this time around I kind of have a direction of where I want to go. I've got this design doc that's pretty loose, but still had me thinking a little bit more ahead of time the design as opposed to the bookshelf where it was more of a straight ahead programming, and we kind of just went wherever it took us. All right, so link to the code is in the description. All of the Omni code with me extensions are going to be in here from now on. I'll put it in the chat as well. There's no such thing as a bad question. And yeah, so we have our first one here. The soundboard will go in here. And so I encourage you guys to check that out afterwards. I'll tag every session with a part number so that you know if you want to go back and get the code from a particular live stream, you can do that, especially since the code may shift a lot between sessions. Add event, always plug this. Here's the link to that again. Here is our calendar event for all of our NVIDIA Omniverse community stuff going on. This is what we're doing now, and the parts 2 and 3 are already on the calendar as well. So you can add this to your calendar. You can add our whole calendar, or just go into an individual event and add that to your calendar. And it's got the link to YouTube and all that if that's what you prefer. Otherwise, you can always just subscribe to the channel. You can ring the bell, all that nonsense. Cool. So let's do it. I've started with just a basic extension from the template. Go to Extension Manager, new extension template project, and that's where we're starting from. We're not going to use any of this. I suppose we can keep the window for now. Hello, Nandu. Welcome. Good to see you again. And the first thing that I want to do is just, can we play some sound in an Omniverse app? And we can, and there's a few different ways that you can do that. The one that I'm going to be using is this UI audio. It's meant for just basic you know, click a button and in the UI get some feedback, some audio feedback. I will say that this one's, I'm using this one because it's very simple and easy to use. But we also have USD audio that is, and the other reason that I'm using this one is USD audio will add audio data to your stage, so it's more for like spatial audio, or I think we also use it for the sequencer if you're doing some sort of previs or animation. You can have the audio directly in your scene and play from there. It's all using the same carb audio under the hood, but we're going to use the easier one just because this is an easy app, right? Hopefully. An easy extension. And I do want to turn this into an app too. So one thing at a time. So I'm going to open this one up. And hey, Tim. And fairly simple. You create a sound using sound file name. And it's got some other things like, is it playing, play, and stop. And that's about it. You can get the sound length. That might be interesting later. Maybe I want to, I don't know if we have enough here to do it, but I was thinking you could have like a little bar at the bottom to show the progress as it's playing. But the important thing here, or something to note, is that, like I said, this is using Carb audio. Carb is our Carbonite framework that we use for a lot of the kit development. Let me pull this up here. We talk about it here. Carbonite. It has audio control, and it's super robust, but we haven't exposed a lot of it on the Python side, so we're kind of just going to use what's available for this right now. All right, so we have a sample here, and it's just get the audio interface, create the sound, play the sound. There's also some notes about if you get rid of all your references to a sound, then it'll be garbage collected, and then you won't be able to play the sound. That's kind of obvious. It'll also, I think, stop the sound as soon as the last one is garbage collected. But that shouldn't matter for us. So I'm gonna paste this in here. I'm just gonna test this out. There is, I noticed, a little issue here with this doc that I've let the doc team know that, or the team know that needs to be updated. But this has OmniKit audio, but it should be OmniKit UI audio. We must have renamed it at some point, and this doc string didn't get updated. So we're gonna fix that. OmniKit UI audio. We can go ahead and import this at the top already. And that, oh. I don't know what that, probably this. Okay, and then we can do a.play sound, and we'll create a button here. Click, is it click function or clicked? It's probably going to be clicked. All right. On click. And let's see what happens. Well, we need to path this correctly. For now, I'm just going to hard code it. On click is not a specific keyword. Hey, Jen, you made it. Unless she's walking her dog right now. On click is not a specific keyword. You can name this whatever you want. It's kind of like convention. I don't know. I've seen different people do different things. I think people that came from certain frameworks, they'll use on click, or they'll use the on whatever event happened. So you can name that whatever you want. It's just a function that you're just giving it a callable function that can be executed. So we're going to save that. And I wanted to show you guys, I got a bunch of sounds here that I've already preloaded. These are all CC0, so free to use, and we don't need to give attribution, but I may still do it. They're all from freesound.org, and we're going to be using these, and I'll put these in the repo. Shouldn't be that heavy to download. All right, so we're going to get the path to this. UI button is where the magic happens. The other thing that I wanted to look up here is, I'm just gonna hard code this, right? And then I'll do it the more robust way. Sounds. All right, so we're gonna do the first one there. And I think we're good. If you're not, if you're coming from some other language that's not Python, if you put this R in front of your strings, it'll make sure to not escape, to not do any escaping or anything. So you'll get the raw string this way. So if I'm using this Windows path, which would cause major headaches, and I'd have to do like double backslashes to unescape, with the raw string, I don't have to worry about that. So we'll do that. And all right, everybody's just like, all right, just play it now. So sound, there we go. Gonna load that. Y'all heard that, I'm guessing. That wasn't supposed to happen. What did I do wrong here? I didn't move it down here. I still have this line here. Y'all heard it, right? Confirm. Yeah, okay, good. Cool. So now this time it's gonna work the way that it should have. So now when I click, and let me know if that's too loud, I can tweak it a little bit. All right, so that's it, right? We're done. We made a button and it plays audio. But now I have this whole library that I downloaded. We should get them all in there. So let me show you another snippet before we move on, which is kit extension path snippet. Get the file path to an extension. Okay. And we can do this with the extension ID. So we're going to use this. This is going to give us the path to the root folder of our extension no matter where it's installed. So, you know, right now it's in this place, my working directory for developing this. But when I publish this to Git, or whenever somebody downloads it from anywhere and it gets installed, it'll figure out where it needs to path from. So we will add that. We're going to get the manager. And what was the next bit? So I don't need to do this part because I should get the extension ID from the extension that I'm in. It gets passed in here on startup, so I can store that. And we'll use pathlib. And then if I do this correctly, like that. And then I can do extension root path / to append that path to the root path. I may need to cast this as a string. We'll see if it takes it. I always like to check. I have an error. Oh, see, it already didn't like it. No problem. We'll cast that as a string, and we're done. That's the old error, although it's still red. But there we go. Still good. So now we're well on our way. Let's take a look at this. We made a button that plays a sound. Awesome. Now, what I would like to do is create a JSON file that will be my manifest of sounds. And this will give me the name for the button and also where to load the sound file from. So I've already listed out this dictionary, at least what kind of the design that I'm going to go for in the end. And then I also listed this out here for the sounds themselves. So let's start just by loading from this dictionary, and then we can do the JSON bit. Get rid of that. So theoretically, come over here. And we can say call it a sounds config. And then we can come over here and load all of these for item in sounds config. Thank you, Kyle, for sticking around. They can always come back later. For item and sounds config, we're going to create a sound for each of these. And sounds.append. And then I think I store these as relative paths. This will be important later. So now we just need to do item. Called it a URI for the path. No, what am I doing? So I needed to get the items of this dictionary. So I should do, and I'm sorry if I'm mixing up Python 2 and Python 3 at this point. I don't remember if this returns if I need to explicitly say items or not, but if you know, let me know. Do I need to do items, or can I loop on the dictionary itself? Is that typical white space for dictionary in Python? Yeah, I think this is fairly common. One space after the colons, and then you could do these in line if you wanted to, each of these sub dictionaries, but I think that's easier to read. All right, we created the path, we get the item, we get its URI, and we have a sound. So then over here we can do I'm just thinking about, should I stuff the sound object into the dictionary itself, or should I have a parallel list in a sense? I set this up this way. Maybe I want this to be a list. I'm not entirely sure, with the name as a field inside. I don't remember if I need to. I think I'm going to be doing some lookups based off of name, but yeah, we'll see. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, I think Flake8 is a good way to go. Okay, sorry. Let's just make this a dictionary. And I could do sounds. Totally messed this up. There we go. So now they use the same key, and the value will be, for this one, will be just the sound object. So now theoretically, if I loop through this again, I can now, for the name, we give it the key. For the clicked function, I've always been against Lambda, but there's a lot of people at NVIDIA that like them, and I've just been using them a lot more lately. Lambda sounds key. And then I am gonna name this on click now because it's bothering me. And we pass in X. I guess we could call this one sound here, just to be a little bit more descriptive. Now you're good. It's just my pet peeves here. Okay. Whoa, that was fast. There's all our buttons. Do they work? This is like the best part of the stream because you all get to hear all these sounds for the first time.
Pew, 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 pew.
This is for developer office hour when somebody asks a question. Calling in to ask a question.
Oh yeah.
That's every time we finish a question on developer office hour. I'll be using that one. So it sounds like it's working. Does everybody hear it? Nod your head. Let me know in the chat. Don't nod your head because I won't be able to see. Pause to make sure we're, yeah, I think we're good, yeah. Cool. So it's already working, right? We could just stop here. When my files are new and exciting, yeah. There's some MP3s in there too. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. So, you know, mission accomplished. We finished the extension basically, but I'm not gonna let it be this easy. I can definitely overcomplicate this. So who's ready to dive deeper here? Okay, so what if we use a file browser component? Yeah, I've got that. I've got that in here somewhere. So I think I just said allow user sounds. So we could do a file browser. I want to do external drag and drop because you know, we do file browser all the time. I figured a drag and drop might be interesting for this. And can you go over the loop a little? Yeah, good question. So this is, I know this can be weird to look at when if you're coming from a different language, but this returns so this is looping through a dictionary. So and the items of a dictionary, and it returns a tuple of the key and the value, and you can name these variables whatever you want. So here is my dictionary, and at least we can look at the first loop here. And this one, right? And so for each item in this dictionary, I get the key, which is the name of the name for that dictionary. I suppose the key of that's going to retrieve this subdictionary. And then this comes in as the value. So that's why I was doing value URI, then gives me the path to the file. and then I append that to the extension root, and that gives me the absolute path. And then I'm creating a new dictionary here for sounds, and but with the same idea that I can, with the name of that I've given each sound, I can then retrieve the sound object. So then in here, we're looping through the sound config. Again, we're getting the name of the sound and then the subdictionary. And the reason that it's a subdictionary is because I want to do things like per color, per button colors, and that way you could group your buttons by color, or we could do volume control. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then once we have that, we name the button with the name, and then we pass in, I did a lambda here, but I could have done, there's a special function called a partial, that does the same thing, which is you can, in this case, I'm grabbing the sound object from the dictionary and I'm setting it to this variable, and I'm passing the variable into this click function, so then every button will have a unique signature. Well, not a unique signature, but it'll have its own version of the onClick function where it's passing in its corresponding sound file, sound object. And so that, depending on which button I click, I get the different sound. We did a lot in a few lines of code here, so thanks for asking that question. I think it was worth explaining. All right, so next, another thing that I want to do is I want to use a V grid instead. I think that's going to be a better layout than a V stack. So let's see what that looks like. And I need to give it, to make it really interesting, you need to either give it a column width, which means each button will be what is the width of each column, and that's going to dictate the size of the buttons as well. Or you can tell it column count. So you can just say, I want an n number of columns. In my case, I want to say I want my buttons to be square. Width is the variable, and then height, width is equal to width, so they're going to be square. And then what else do we need here? And then I'm going to use the same dimension for column width. Okay, so now that should hopefully work. And so you could use this for, say, like a content browser type of thing. I think we use something else for this stuff, but you know, if you want to lay things out in tiles like this, could potentially use a V grid or a H grid. But this is going to work a lot better, right? So I can move this wherever I want, resize my window to whatever size works for me, and then I have that all ready. Let's do a new sound here.
Thank you.
So I think that's going to work out well. So we'll leave that like that for now. And I could start kind of organizing this better, or I could start on the JSON stuff. Let's start the JSON stuff, and then we'll go back to structuring this into potentially classes that make more sense here than what this is. So let's do it. So we have the start of our dictionary here. I'm just going to do a quick script here to write out this JSON file. And So I don't want that all inline in there. That'd be cumbersome. So we're gonna put that in there. And yeah, let's talk about JSON for a bit. JSON is JavaScript object notation. It was developed for JavaScript. It matches very much the data types of JavaScript with lists, float, int, string, and then objects, so that you could store full JavaScript objects in these files. And it works also very well for Python because it's a JSON object looks a lot like a Python dictionary. So so really you have all those same data types: lists, float, double or float, int, string, dictionary, that can all be written out very simply, and it's human readable, and that's what we're using. So if this is your first time looking at this stuff, hopefully it'll become clear here. And I guess I should save this just to give it an extension here. New folder, scripts. Create default config. Okay, so hopefully that import will get sorted out. So we just need to make we'll rename this sounds again. And config is going to look like this. It's going to have active sounds, which is just going to be all of them. And then the sounds repo key. So active sounds is just a list of the names. So for I need to confirm this because it's should be able to get a Python terminal. I'm confirming what was the when I loop on a dictionary, what was the behavior here? So it just prints the keys. Okay, so that's what I want for this, or it just returns the keys in this case. So for key in sounds, so that's going to give me the names of the buttons, and I just want to store the key. So there's a list comprehension. This is red right now because I didn't make that a string, and this is supposed to be a colon there. I named this JSON, didn't I? This is supposed to be a Python file. VS Code's like, what are you doing? Okay. So active sounds is going to be, I'm between my base, my default sounds, and then any user provided sounds. What I want to show on the UI is going to be different from all of the sounds that this extension knows about. So that's why I have active sounds. So it's just going to be a list of sound names, and that's going to be my unique key. You can't have two sounds with the same name, is going to be the rule. And that's going to tell me which sounds I need to pick up from the sounds repo and load them as sound objects so that they're ready to be played, and also which ones I need to create buttons for. So those are my active sounds. And then sounds repo is just that sounds dictionary that I have defined up there. So now I'm just going to write this out. Import pathlet, that. And I need to save this somewhere, so I'm going to do this file dot, let's go ahead and do a path here. Config path is equal to path object starting from this file. Then we get the parent director, get the parent of it, which would be that directory. Get the parent of that, which would be Soundboard, parent, and one more time, I think. Where are we? Yeah. So that would be, then I can do data. And I think that's fine. We'll call it that. So now we can do Json dump, and it wants, I need to open the file first. So with open config path, I want it in write mode and has F. So that's the file handle. Then I can dump file handle and then the dictionary, I think. I think so. Okay. And that should be it. So now if I run this, what is this? What is going on here? I don't want the interactive window. Just run the file. Run Python file on the terminal. Thank you. Did this change in Python 3? Did I do it backwards? Yeah, dump will write the dictionary as a to the JSON. So you'll see what that looks like in a moment if I can remember if I use this API correctly. JSON, Python. So I'll dump to a string, but I want to dump to a file. Oh, it's the other way around. Object, how did I miss that? Yeah, object and then the file. Okay. Save that. Run it. And that's it. Sweet. So now we can check out our data. And here's our default config. And we'll format it. Thank you. So here's our active sounds. It's a list, so we can get that. So the top level is a dictionary. We grab the active sounds key and it'll give us that list of strings, and then we have our sounds repo dictionary that has all of the actual data that we need. So that's it. Yeah, so dump is the one that I wanted. I just want to write it straight to the file, and then dumps is it'll return a string, and then you could write that out separately, or you can print it, whatever you need to do there. You could send it as a response to if this were a service, a web service. So I think we're good there. You could also format. You can have this format as well. I had to change this, but if you set indent to 4, it'll automatically format it for you. I mean, you could set it to any number you want, but you do that. Pretty sure this wrote out. I should probably delete it so that we can see this work. It's already formatted. I think I will leave it formatted. That way it's easier to read. We're going to be looking at this file a bit. So cool. So like I was saying, this is our manifest. This is what's going to drive our app, because we want this a little bit more data driven, a little bit more robust, and also flexible to allow for that for users to add their own data and all that. So let's go ahead and start that. So we wrote our JSON. I want to have a config manager. This is going to load, this is going to read the JSON file, but it's going to do a bit more in that I want to merge JSON files. So I'm going to have, and the reason for this is if I can ship my extension with this default config, but I don't want to write to this JSON when, say, a user says, oh, here, let's add this WAV file now. I don't want to add their data to here, because when I push an update to my extension, it's going to download the new extension, and it's no longer going to read from this old data folder from the previous version, nor do I have I mean, I guess I could write some code to grab any changes from a previous version and bring them into to overwrite the default config when I on an update. You know, say if there's an older version installed somewhere and on the user's machine, grab the data, but that'd be a little weird. I want to show you. This is an extension that I downloaded from the community, and I actually downloaded 2 different versions of it. And these are symlinks to where they're installed, but you can see here that they are separate installations. And if I went in here and I wrote something in here, then on the next version that wouldn't be there. So we're going to be writing the user stuff to a different location, and I'm going to have a different manifest for the user stuff. And then I want to merge the 2 JSONs, the 2 configs, so that at the end my app is just looking at one consolidated, one resolved config to know what to do. So class I think we can go ahead and throw this into its own module. So and you can store, I could store this as settings. in the user in Omniverse's user settings, but I didn't want to write all this data into that. I'd rather maintain my own. Where are these settings? Configuration, user settings. So yeah, you could write it to user settings. I suppose I could have the default. I could have put it into my extension toml, but this will be, I don't know. The pattern will just remain the same, and I'm not savvy enough with tomls to venture on using tomls exclusively over JSON yet. So here we go. We're going to create this class, config manager. And this is going to be static if I can get away with it. Resolved config. And load config. Static method. No, I want this to be a class method. So first variable that you pass into a class method is the class itself. Python will do that on your behalf. You could name this anything you want, but by convention, we call it CLS for class. And so I can then do CLS dot, no, let's import JSON. Intermediate was just was clickbait. I figured if I used intermediate, maybe the beginners wouldn't feel totally discouraged, and then also maybe the more advanced folks would, intermediate's the catch-all. Everybody, at least that's how it is for me. I always feel intermediate. So no, and I don't know. I don't want to discourage anybody with, everybody's at their own level. Everybody has their knowledge in different things. So I don't want to say this is beginner stuff or this is advanced stuff. It's just stuff. So we need to open the file and then read it. So with open, we're going to pass in file path. And this is going to be read. We load. I need the file object. We load it. We'll store it in now if I planned this correctly, what this means is that I can do update, I believe, on a dictionary, and this is gonna be very USD-esque. I'm gonna resolve these dictionaries, and it's gonna be in strength order. So the default config is gonna be loaded first, and it's gonna update with its data. But then when I load the user config, anything that they've added to theirs will then be, sorry, I just realized there is a hole in my plan. So when I write out the user config, I need to tweeze out the base config. So I probably want to store both, but then have a resolved config. So okay. So it's this update function is basically going to say if there's any key that already exists, we'll overwrite it with the data from this new data that's coming in. If that key doesn't exist, then we will we can just check here what other arguments we have. Then we'll add it. So it's additive, and then also it will overwrite any overlaps that it finds. If I remember correctly. So I guess we'll just have two separate functions here. I was going to use one and then just have them both resolve on top of each other, but I need to be a little more explicit. Save myself like 3 lines of code with this. No, I'm not. It's probably going to be the same. But I've come too far. If I ever decide to change this function, I'll only have to change it once. All right. I think we're good here. No, I need to pass that in. I think I just added more lines of code than what I had with that. Cool. I think we can add a new module, call it window. And soundboard, 1 word or 2 words. This is going to inherit from window. Yeah, I didn't like that. That was not a good snippet. All right. Start args, start quargs. Maybe I'll expand that later, but for now, that should be okay. The top extension will need, yes, the top extension. You mean yes, this one? Yeah, well, if that's what you mean, yeah, we'll add them here. Oh, I see. I'm not sure what you mean, but wherever I use these modules, I will add them. You'll see me get there, and then for the extension toml, I don't need to explicitly list every module in here. It's just the in this case it would be the package, which would be this init py for Medicode Soundboard. That will give me access to everything. What I should do here, though, I should add my dependency now that I'm here. Actually, it's just called Omni UI Audio. So that's a good thing to do. And This thing needs to do super init. And we'll pass in args, quargs, why isn't it liking this? Oh, it's a star star. Window wants the only argument is title, so maybe I'll match that. Is that correct? That's fine. I shouldn't have closed that. Yeah, so I'll get rid of the star args. Okay. And then I'll have like a build window. And that will do with self.frame. Or no. Self.frame.set build function. So I like to do it this way because that way if I can call the rebuild function on the frame if I ever want to rebuild the whole window manually. So now that I have that, I can say over here, this business, right? Now I think this window is going to hold on to the audio interface. I think that's okay. Where are you? That means I need this import. There. And we'll sort all those issues out in a moment. We don't need this anymore. We can go ahead and now from dot window import soundboard. Go ahead and destroy that on shutdown, and then set it to none. This business is going to go in this config. Perhaps. Can you do properties on class methods? We'll try that in a moment. Default config is equal to data. And then we'll update the resolved. I'm just thinking of maybe doing a property that will resolve both of these configs on the fly. And then the user config is that one. Okay. Any questions? Any critique? You guys have gone quiet on me. Soundboard. Let's also pass in the extension ID here. Seems good. All right. And here we're going to do ext ID. Config man. I don't even need a, this is going to be a class. Oh, it did the import. I feel like this is a newish feature in VS Code, and most of the time I don't like it. But today, actually, no, I still don't like it because I want this import on the bottom. Yeah, for sure. And then remember in the description is the link to where the code will be once I'm done. So for sure, take your time with it. From config, import config manager. I'm going to then on startup, I can definitely do config manager dot load default config. Here's where I'm going to do. Yep, this is where I'm going to do this. Not that one, this one. I suppose what I could do is this. So really, so that way my window doesn't need to know anything about where the default config is stored. And then this could be, you know, I could build this config manager into its own extension, and I could reuse it in some of my other work if I like it, because you know, this could be a pattern that I know that this is a pattern that I've used in the past, so I may want to do it again. So I can just build it once really well and then use it in all of my extensions. We need to import path. Oh, is it a Python setting? Okay, thank you, Jeff. I thought it was only with black and I have to get in the habit of using black as well. So if I get the root path, then I can, suppose I could store this here. What did I call this? Thought I had this somewhere. The path to, oh no, I haven't written this part yet. So this is going to be in data default config.json. So if I do this correctly, okay, then we read that and we load it, we set it in there, and then we'll update our resolved config. Cool. So now come over here to the window, and we can just say load the default config using this extension ID. Okay, so that's loaded. I don't need to catch it or anything. It'll be available to me. But I've made sure to load it at the beginning of when my extension starts. And got my audio interface. I can build a window out. I'm just gonna put this constant up here for now. I may move this out to a different file, or potentially this is definitely going to go into settings, so I may just read it directly from the kit settings. Okay. Now I should be able to say for sound name in, do you guys, when you're watching this, does it feel like where is he going with this, or am I mapping this out enough? Because I feel like I've been going around in circles, but I'm finally zeroing in on this. Config manager dot resolved config. And I just need the active sounds, which is all of them for now. And so then I can build it'll become clear in a moment, hopefully. Oh yeah, decorators are fun. Now I said I was gonna load sounds, so so it's the same for loop actually. So there's that same sounds dictionary that I had before. And I need to load it. Do I still have that code somewhere over here? Yeah. So we're going to use the audio interface variable that I have here to create the sound. We're going to grab the sound from, and this is where I'm going to need to make a little tweak to my config manager potentially. Config manager dot resolved config sound repo. Is it sounds or sound? Plural. Sounds repo. And we'll store this in here. Sound name. So now we have all of the sound data, and then we will load the sound object, and we will store it like that. This needs self. So after the sounds are loaded, then over here, we loop through it again, and we do, here's where I can just pass the sound name maybe. And then we can just do it on one line. Self dot sounds, and we're going to pass in that, we're going to get the sound, the one with that sound name that we're passing in. Okay. So I think we're close. The only other thing that I remember that I messed up on, well, apart from needing to do stuff here, I think actually this is pretty much ready. We don't need count anymore. Feels good when you like clear out all this code, but then realize that I wrote probably 3 times more code in all the other ones. Here. So this is still using relative paths for these sounds. I think when I load this, I should turn it into absolute paths. So I'll just do that now. So after we've gotten the data for key in data sounds repo. So that's going to give me it's going to be the name of every sound in the sound repo. I'm going to do data sounds repo key or sound name. Let's make that a little bit more descriptive. extension root path / So the absolute path is okay. All right, so this is going to grab the URI for each of them, which I know is a relative path, and I'm going to expand that to an absolute path for each of them. So I think that should do it here. Yeah, I am going to want to resolve. I'm going to want to do this on demand, the resolution. But I think we're good. So no errors here. That looks good. So did this? No, this is. I don't trust that this is working. Soundboards has no attribute sounds. Okay, I've got a few windows here from all the code changes I made. String indices must be integers. I'm sure I know line 34. This is a list. So that should have been right. String indices must be integers. I must be trying to, one of these must be a string when I thought it was a list. I think I am going to need to debug. Hold on. So here's my default config. This is active sounds. I'm grabbing that. And then this is a list, and I'm grabbing the sounds repo from here. And then sound data. Get the name. Did I forget? No, sounds repo name. All right, let's just see what's going on here. I think that's a good spot. We'll connect. And let's have it do its thing. So default config path. This is what my default config looks like. It's got active sounds, but let's check out the resolved config, which is this one. Active sounds should give me this list, and so for every name in that list, I should be able, oh, this is where I'm messing up. So this is already a string. So sounds repo, I grab this first one, and there's the path, right? So is that the issue? string file name. Let's do this one more time. That way I can check to see what I'm actually passing in. Step. Sound data. It's gonna be okay, Kyle. There's that one. Weird. Oh, wait, sound data is already a string there. Why is that already a string? See, that should have been a dictionary. So yeah, so I messed that up and I know where I messed it up. I messed that up here. So when I'm writing this back, I should have been writing it back to URI. Okay. So we'll save that. And we can get rid of that breakpoint. Well, now we can see that this should work. Step. And that's still wrong, but I don't think it reset. Let's get rid of that. Continue. Still no good. Line 35. Is this a different error? Object has no attribute sounds. But it's there. But I'm calling it before I actually defined that. So let's put that up there. Okay. Now we're good. This better be good. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. So all that to just get back to where we were. Thank you. Yes, no need to index. Yes. Okay. And now when I start to debug, I'll play this one. No, that one didn't work. At least I don't hear it. It might be very quiet. Anyways, it's a countdown timer. I thought that would help with help make Kyle's anxiety worse. All right. I think we're good here. Let's take a look at our to-dos. So we got that one. Create multiple buttons from config. Got that one. We need to create the button size setting. I think we could do that now. I think that's pretty good. After all of that code, the only issue was that line right there. That's pretty proud of myself. Kind of want to do the user config, but now we can do settings. We've got 30 minutes. That's going to be plenty. So another Python snippet here. Settings. We want to set the value of a persistent setting. So So I've actually never done this. I mean, I've done this, but what I want to do is I want to store a setting in my extension toml and read from that directly. But then we'll also grab the user setting as an override. If the user changes their mind and they want it a different size, we can do that. So we're going to want all of that. And it's likely going to be in the window here. I suppose it'll be in the extension. There's settings that I'm going to want to grab. I'm just going to grab the settings object twice, the settings dictionary. Grab it here to define the, oh no, we're talking about button width, not window. So yeah, it's going to be in the window here. And I suppose we can just get a handle to it and store it. Okay, I'm going to grab that. Throw it up there. And instead of using that, we will use, I guess I don't need to do this one yet. I just need to get the setting. But it'll help to see where this is. Do we have any settings here? Nope. Let's take a look at, I just want an example of how settings are defined in a toml. That's going to be, we won't need this one anymore. Here. I want the bottom one. So we can move this above the tests, or maybe even, yeah, that's fine. So this is the same idea, right? It's ext's my extension name. So this is just going to be where the path to the setting. And this is also going to relate to the user config, which I'll show in a moment. And we're going to call this button width 200. Cool. So then we can come over here and we just need this bit here. Though I suppose we do need the key. grab it from here. Oh, I need it higher. This needs to be forward slashes for this part. All right, and then there's going to be self.settings. And I will need the button width up here. And we put it in there. I think we're good. I need to get rid of all that. This, I think, is an error that I've been hitting with this extension that I've been working on. So I'm going to deactivate that. I don't know if that's going to recover for me or if I'll need to restart. There we go. That worked. Looks like that worked, right? So if I update this extension toml, I don't think that did it. I can get rid of that though. That's weird that it looked like it worked. Pretty sure that's correct. Let's check out to see what it's doing here. It's currently set to 200. I don't need this anymore. Oh, I know. I'm pretty sure this is only going to be read once. Let's try. I'm surprised that it didn't reload with the reloading of the extension with a hot reload, but that's probably the correct behavior. So let me relaunch, and I think on relaunch it'll read that new value, and we'll get that 300 width button. Okay. There we go. So yeah, it's just going to read it once. I don't know what happened to that first button there. There is an error, but that's probably not my extension. There's material. There are materials loading. That's probably an issue with having this window pop in, or that button be the same size as the window. Let me check something out here. There we go. That's interesting. We'll need to get that fixed. So these will play on top of each other, which is, I think, a good thing. That's the default behavior. So I think we're in good shape. What I'll get to next time is actually not probably, I don't know if next time, but what I want to do is be able to have the user define those settings, and we'll be able to rescale the buttons and then store that as a preference for the user. So we'll do that. And next week we'll do the user sounds and the merging of configs. And then for probably the third week we'll get into all the usability things. So we'll do removing buttons, adding buttons. I'll have like a sounds palette from that sounds repo. We'll have you'll be able to drag and drop sounds from the sounds repo. It'll be a little bucket in the UI that you can then add as buttons in your main window. So we'll have that. And for styling, I'm going to do the colors, and then we'll see how fancy we get with this. I was thinking I could have like an edit mode and a performance mode. So this would be the performance mode. All you really want is just the window and to be able to click on buttons. But in edit mode, maybe we could have a little bar that you could raise and lower the volume on individual sounds, and that would get stored in the config with each sound. Pick a color for each of these buttons, and then reorder these buttons as well. So that'll be the goal for styling and usability. Was there anything else that I thought would be interesting? The volume, maybe progress, so you see when is that sound going to end. And that's where I need to consider, like I said, the carb audio is really powerful, but the API that's exposed for doing UI audio is fairly simple. I don't think I have a way to control the volume, but I think that would be a worthwhile add. So the good thing is that you can just drop in a library for audio manipulation and playback. So I could bring in PyDub or Simple Audio. There's a few libraries out there that are popular for Python that I could just install, make sure that goes along with my extension, and I can do my own audio handling apart from Kit if I want to get fancier but stay in Python. So that's where we're headed. Any questions before we end? I think this will be a good spot to stop. You could do this on a USD asset, virtual buttons. Yeah, so we do have, where are you? Create audio. We have spatial, non-spatial sound, and these are represented as sound prims, and they have properties, and there's much more control exposed in this API, in the API for the USD audio. So I think that would be just, I think it would be a different thing, right? I don't want, I want to be able to have this extension running for the soundboard and not have it manipulate my scene. So that's just, I'm building this for myself, really, is the thing. So I want to be able to be doing a live stream, and I can have this window up. I suppose I did have that idea of making this a standalone extension, and or I'm sorry, a standalone app, in which case I could load a USD scene in that standalone app, and never save it out, just when I load the sounds, load them as audio objects. But then maybe that's heavier, right? I have to bring in USD for that. And if I can keep this lightweight without any USD extensions. So pros and cons. Let's talk, Nandu, let's talk on Discord. But there, yeah, you I think somebody else was asking the same thing about showing images or in video. It depends if you want to do it in viewport or if you want to do it on just an image widget in the UI. So let's talk more about what you're thinking of doing. Anybody else? Yeah, let me know as far as this one goes. Do you think the audio level control is worthwhile? That is going to be probably just a session on its own of installing the using pip to install the Python libraries that I would need for that, and then changing the code up to load and play those sounds using those libraries instead of the kit ones. So all right, I will put this up on GitHub, and yeah, Kyle, if you have any follow-up questions, let me know. We can talk offline as well. And next week we'll get into some more intermediate stuff. So like I said, finishing up the config logic and some user settings, and maybe we'll get into some of this usability stuff. All right, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that this kind of helps illustrate how you can build extensions for Kit without getting too deep into USD or the 3D side of things, but just showing that, you know, this is an application development toolkit, and we have the API to build out a complex UI and systems for loading extensions and having them work in conjunction with each other and all that. So more to come, and look forward to next week. See y'all.